Ryan and Corey's monthly fee for this is less than what I'm paying for freaking Netflix subscriptions. Once I got that perspective and sort of, I had to work backwards from everything and look backwards and think, what have I spent money on in the past? And like, can I justify spending money for this in the future? And again, you need to think about like, what's your time worth? If I started in the inner circle 11 years ago, I know I would have way more assets and way more, my life would look a lot different.
You just get the right people in the right seats within that circle. You're going to have coaches. You're going to have people students that become coaches.
We share in common with the whole mindset thing. Like, Corey, you just left your job, your W-2, and went full-time into that because just the relatability, the comfort, the connections has been worth it. It's been a great relationship from start to present right now. So appreciate you guys so much. Do I join this inner circle? Is this going to be worth it? I'm telling you, I have zero regrets whatsoever.
Anthony, officially welcome to the Wealth Juice podcast. Corey and I are so excited to have you on the show, man. This is a long time coming. We've had a relationship for years, and I'm thrilled we got a little bit more layered in our relationship this year and got a little closer. And it's just really cool that this whole thing has come full circle. And I'm excited to chat with you today and share your story. So thanks for joining us, man. We appreciate you.
Hey, yeah, guys, what's up? It has definitely been a long time coming. Happy to be on. Happy to share the knowledge and hopefully get some people juiced up on this episode. So let's do it.
Let's do it, man. So take us back. Let's maybe talk pre-real estate a bit, who you are, where you came from, and then really when I'm looking for that light bulb moment when you were like, whoa, real estate is for me. And I think I can pursue this as my career at some point.
Right. So I was born in Philadelphia, Philadelphia native. Both parents are from there. Was raised just outside in the suburbs of Philly in Bucks County. Graduated Westchester University in 2010. Came right back into the city. Been in here ever since. I got my first property, and I say investment property, but really it started off as an investment property and it started off as a personal property and turned into an investment property by accident. So I got the property, realized that I needed a little extra help with the mortgage. And I started looking into rent by the room, just sort of out of desperation. I was a full-time teacher at the time. I was working at Joe's Steaks down at, Frankfurt and Girard. And I still was like coming up to like, I only have like $150 each month to spend on myself. Like I'm totally house poor. This sucks. So I ended up going on to, at the time, Facebook came up with this like subsidiary where it was called Roomster, and your Facebook was tied to a roommate app that like had an algorithm. At the time, nobody called it an algorithm, but they linked me up to this guy that was up here doing like music gigs. He was this DJ and he needed a room to rent, like basically for the weekends. And he came over and he agreed to like $700 a month. And he was just there on weekends. And after the first weekend, I just remember my best friend coming in and being like, this is not real that you're making this money. Like, this is insane. And at that point, like, that was my light bulb moment. Everything changed. And I just looked at my house so differently from there. And then, as it progressed, he ended up moving out and I ended up getting an immigrant over here from France on a working visa. And because like the rents over in Europe were so high, she came over and she's like, hey, I only have $900 a month to budget. And I was like, you're good. You're in. That's it. We got it. So I was, this is like circa 2014 in Fishtown, sort of like while it was like blowing up, but not really. And I'm getting $900 a month for a bedroom and we're splitting utilities. So at that point, like I was cash flowing a lot. I went from like $150 a month to having like well over, $1,000 a month extra in excess. And it just blew my mind. I couldn't believe it. So that was really the jumping off point.
That's great, man. I mean, you kind of like, you accidentally fell into house hacking. Like you didn't even know it existed. And then you're like, hey, it's funny how some things come into your life out of a desperation. So I want to talk about parlaying what you do for work into the real estate, and then how you decided, okay, well, now that I have this house hack going, I'm a teacher. I love teaching. I love speaking to people. I love speaking to kids, and mentoring. How did you then decide to kind of figure out how to do both at the same time? Because I think that's powerful, because sometimes people have this passion and then they have a side hustle. They don't know which one to go after. I'm curious about the balance, because you do both and you do both really well.
Yeah, so from being a teacher for so long, like I knew I was good public speaking. I knew I was good in front of large crowds. And I knew that I didn't want to be like, it was something where how can I blend that both with like educating people and then also I wanted to be personable. I wanted to leave an experience, treat every, client as if they were family, things like that. And I was like, where can I do that in real estate? And it just clicked to become a real estate agent. So I ended up going for my license, and it actually before then I started off getting the Pocono place, and that was sort of kind of how you and I and all of us started talking together. Was I was listening to your podcast, I got the Pocono place, I saw you guys had gotten your Pocono house, and then we kind of ran with people in the same circle. Like at that point, I had a few interactions with JD. And we were talking about that, and I was like, man, I'm like good at this hospitality. I'm good with people. Can I take this further? So then I was like, I got to be a real estate agent. Like I got to jump into that. And from then on, it just was like, it's such a relational business, and there's so many transactions based off of just the relationships that I've cultivated that it just seems so natural because that's what I do all day. I cultivate relationships all day long as a teacher. So it was just something that flowed really naturally, and it was the path of least resistance, honestly, to get into real estate.
Yeah, I love it, man. I'm curious about your like actual schedule, like granularly. I know we were talking about this and even just like setting up our interview, and you're like, well, I work my teacher life 7 to 3:30, and then my real estate life 3:30 to whatever to faint on, and then on the weekends as well. So like, talk to us about balancing your schedule, because I think there's people out there that are listening. They're like, I want to do the real estate thing. I don't know how to balance my schedule. Teaching seems to be like a unique job, and maybe a good one if you are trying to get into real estate because of the, having summers off and everything. But just talk to us about your schedule and the balancing act, and then we'll get into more of your portfolio here.
Yeah, well, it's, and you always learn, with bumps and bruises first. So like at first it was like sort of all over the place. And I realized that you just have to be a complete master of your schedule. You have to get obsessed with your calendar. You have to time block. You have to devote. And the second you start getting serious about that, like I even like forget the 5 a.m. club. Like I'm up at 4 a.m. every morning, and that's just to schedule in alone time for myself. That's time to journal. That's time to work out. That's time to like write goals and focus on the day before the day's even started. So once I started getting it, and that's straight up just grinding through habit building. Like nobody wants to wake up at 4 a.m. and now I can't even imagine waking up at another time. But all in all, like being a teacher was really nice because the day ends, like you said, the day ends at 3:00. Well, how many people want to see homes before 3:00? Like everybody's working a 9 to 5. So it just linked up. The thing that you have to really, when you're working a W-2 and getting into real estate, the thing that you have to link, like really, really be conscious of and have a ton of intent with is like, what is my time worth and how do I want it spent? And when I realized that, I ended up changing my like perspective on being a real estate agent, and I joined a team that had Zillow Flex leads. So those are leads that basically come to you, they pay for them, and you pay a hefty fee to get those leads brought to you. But what does a real estate agent have to do from 9 a.m. until 12 p.m. before they go out to do tours? They have to cold call. They have to drum up business. Well, if you join a team with Zillow Flex leads, that's being done for you. You're getting the texts, you're getting the calls, you're getting buyers that are already warm and ready to go, sellers that are already warm and ready to go. And it's a cheat code for somebody who wants to still have the protection of having that W-2 income, but wants to get their feet wet with real estate. So it was just something that the light bulb moment went off, and like, I still get this. I'm over almost 2 years into my team with Zillow Flex leads, and I still get other real estate agents that are like, oh man, it's 30 cents on the dollar. They charge so much. But I'm like, guys, I get all of my time back. I get all of my morning back that I don't have to do any of that stuff. So it's just about like becoming super intentional with your time and understanding that time is the most valuable currency you have. How do you want to spend it? And how do you, even if you're getting 30 cents on the dollar, that's great. But on the other end, I've got more business that I know what to deal with.
It's great, man. It's a good strategy. And I feel like we've watched you kind of evolve, and the trend of, becoming an investor, becoming a better agent, serving your clients. And like, I can see it moving in this direction of potentially doing it full time if you want to really one day. Talk to us about what your portfolio looks like, and then we'll get into like your networking aspect of what you do and why you decided to really join our community.
Yeah. So current portfolio, I have the Pocono short-term rental. So that's up in the northeastern part of the Poconos, up by Lake Wall and Paulpack. That's a simple 2 bed, 1.5 bath chalet in a community with amenities and stuff like that. That has always like outperformed all of my other assets. That's part of the reason why I love the short-term rental space. I will like be completely open to anyone. It is the most work of real estate. I have a short-term rental and I have 2 long-term rentals, and the short-term rental is by far more work, by far. And then I have 3 properties in Philadelphia. One was the Fishtown home that I talked to you about. And I can even go into numbers and stuff like that. Like that one right now, like just to kind of wrap the heads around, what it looks like as of 2024, 2025.
Yep.
The mortgage on that's 1,400, and I just raised my rent with my tenant there, and I'm at 2,100 for a 2 bed, 1 bath in Fishtown. So like that thing is cranking. It's doing really, really nice. And not to mention that home, the Fishtown home appreciated so much. That was the home that I cash out refied with and took that refi money and bought the Pocono chalet with. So I have since then dipped and dipped and dipped again into one property. And then we're not even dipping into like, I have lines of credit on that house that I've taken to do and remodeled the entire inside of that house. And since then paid off that line of credit. So just one home has been several sources and avenues of money and revenue and like everything combined together. Like, and all basically like, you guys know when you go into that, like the lines of credit, the refinance, it's all been tax free. So
Yeah.
just that one property alone has been amazing. It was a game changer for me. And really all I had to do was buy in a neighborhood that I saw was appreciating and sit back and just live in it for a couple of years. So that was 7 years of living in it and waiting and waiting and waiting. And then finally I cashed out refinance. And like, since then it's just been a money machine.
Dude, I want to touch on this a bit. You actually posted a reel about this the other day. We'll get into this too, but you really upped your social game. And one of the things we dive into within our community is preaching, hey, you can walk the walk, but to be able to talk the talk and explain to the universe and other people what you're doing is just a bridge that links you to the next opportunity. You've done a great job of this expanding. This helps you expand your portfolio, expand your network, et cetera. But what I'm specifically talking about here is you talked about playing real life Monopoly. And I think you just gave a great example. Like Corey and I chat about this all the time. We played Monopoly growing up, right? And you kind of walk your way around the board, you trade up, you get a single family home, then all the way up to get to a hotel, right? But you have a real life example. I just really appreciate you sharing that one property generated you multiple income streams and allowed you to scale up to the next set. A lot of people forget or don't realize the power of that first deal or having one deal as your moneymaker. And I talk about this all the time. Like my primary residence now, my goal from I'll say day 2, right? Because I didn't know about it in day 1 when I got it. I'm keeping this 100% as my foundational piece, kind of like your Fishtown place, right? Like this is where I'm going to draw lines of credit off. I've already taken HELOC, but I'm going to pay this bad boy off. It's already appreciated. It's worth double what I basically bought it for. We're paying it down, and it's allowed me to get into other deals with Core and do multiple different things. And so I say that to say, every investor has this one property in their portfolio that they talk about. And they're like, dude, thank God I bought that. And thank God I kept that property. So I appreciate you sharing that one and really kind of painting the picture for people like, hey, listen, like when you get into this real estate investing game, it's not always about building the 1,000-unit portfolio. And people think about the distance all the time, but that first move you make is so crucial. And it's learning to keep it and weather the storms. And hey, if you have to fix something, fix it and just don't sell off when the market dips. And so we can go into a lot of this stuff, but I wanted to kind of pivot here into the community aspect of things. And I touched on social media. You're crushing it with that. You're crushing it by doubling up your W-2. You have a side hustle. You are playing real life Monopoly. And then there's like another silo that everyone can get better at, right? It's like, how do I find my people and surrounding myself with the people that are doing the thing that I want to do at a high level? So maybe talk to us about, when you had the thought or idea that, hey, in order for me to jump to the next level, I got to get around different players and I don't want to take this journey down by myself the whole time.
So it came down to, and this is just to tie this whole in, but I also have I'm house hacking right now in Philadelphia with 2 single family homes, in Port Richmond. So I bought 6 blocks away from my Fishtown house. So we're doing that right now. I have a property in back, a carriage house that is covering over 51% of my mortgage for both homes. And once I got to that point, I had gotten married and I started building this up, and I've done all of this myself. So I self-manage my long-term properties. I do have a service, property management service for my short-term rental, but it's not a full service by any means. So I'm still very heavily actively involved with them. And it got to the point where I was like, this is getting to be a lot. I'm starting to get into territories where like, I don't quite know what to do. Do I get the LLCs now? How do I cover myself? What do I do? And at that same point, I read a book called Who Not How. And I was like, I've been in this world long enough where I have who's around me. Who are the people? Who are the people? And I'm very hard to trust, especially with real estate, because I'm very protective of it because I built it all by myself and I did everything by myself. I had to figure out everything from, basically from the start of it until I joined you guys, the inner circle. So that was like, who do I know? Who do I know? And we had never spoken before, aside from starting off with social media, going back and forth, having conversations. And you guys have always preached that we're building an online resume. We're building, and it worked. Like I trusted you guys. We had spoken before. We ran with a few of the same cats in our circle. And I was like, if they're like with JD and these guys, I've been listening to you guys since day one. And when I heard about the program, Corey, we spoke, it didn't, before he could even end his sentence, do you want to be in the inner circle? I was like, I'm in. Just tell me what to do. How do we get in here? And it was that level of trust and that level of exposure that you guys put out there where I was like, they're obviously steps ahead of me. They've already been where I've been. If they don't have a question, the podcast has had so many excellent all-stars on there. They're going to know who to reach out to and get back to me instantly. And that was what I needed. So I knew that if I wanted to expand and get to the next step, I knew that I was getting overwhelmed. I knew that I had a lot of questions, and I knew that I needed just like a tribe or an inner circle, a group of people that had resources available. So when I was like, hey, I have this problem. Hey, we got this for you. We know what to do. Hey, LLCs right now. Yep. This is how you should do it. And since then, just joining the inner circle, it's been nothing but an abundance of resources, knowledge, wealth, and a group of like-minded people all in one.
Love it.
So it's just it's been amazing.
We didn't write that, Rye. I thought it sounds like we wrote it, but actually that's from Anthony. So thank you.
Yeah, that was completely off the cuff, you guys.
That means a lot. We appreciate
from the heart, boys. Yeah.
100%. So, I was curious about maybe what you were hoping to achieve. And you, again, we're talking about a couple months now, right? We look at these relationships that we build with people that are in the inner circle and the people that we create through our podcast as long-term relationships. And sometimes the fruits of your labor don't come for not even just months, but sometimes years. I was saying this on a podcast the other day. Ryan and I essentially dated our partner, Sean, from who we invest with in Vermont and New Hampshire for 2 years before we did a deal with him, right? Literally, meeting each other, learning about our morals and values, and having Zoom conversations just over and over. So really my question for you, Anthony, is what are you hoping to get out of the program? And then what are some of the things that, you kind of already went through some of the things that you have seen, but I'm curious, maybe longer term, what are you hoping to get out of it? And then honestly, candidly, we can help you get there.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it was always been I've always looked at joining the inner circle as not what I can get as much as the opportunities that are just going to organically happen. And for me, it's always been about providing as much value as possible. So really, I just wanted to come on here and provide as much value with the hopes that I could really have that. I mean, for lack of a better word, not to sound cheesy, but have that inner circle of people. I didn't have that. I was all alone with that. So, and then candidly, it's to expand the portfolio. I want to collaborate, and when I go back to I'm always going to go back to Ben Hardy and Dan Sullivan, and it's who, not how, and collaboration. And what's the fastest way to get to the most productive form of collaboration? Join a group of like-minded people who are, not only blazing trails, but we have people in our group that are their first rental property, their 70th rental property, and everything in between. Some people have short-term rentals. Some people have, everything that we have in there. So it was the opportunity in this group is just so valuable, and the knowledge that people have, the mastermind. It's a mastermind. That's exactly what it is. It's just a group of people that have experiences from all different realms that can contribute. So, I mean, essentially, for me, it's relational more than there's anything, because I know once I build the relationships, the real estate's going to come. It's going to come. So it was just, how can I cultivate and provide the most value and build relationships with the people in this inner circle as quickly and as fastly as possible, as fast as possible, so that when the deals do come, we're all ready to go. We all trust each other. We're all comfortable with each other, everything like that.
100%, man. I think I want to start here. Real estate is a relationship business. And you realize most things in the world today are, and I love that book, Who Not How. Corey and I both read it. And you're bringing me back to our story and our journey day one. We're going through the motions, right? We're reading the books, we're listening to the podcast. I'm building out crazy outlines, taking notes, and like trying to bring this to real life, right? And Corey and I did that. He had his duplex, and then we decided to partner up together and take down a duplex. And you realize there's such a learning curve when you're going through this, where you get something under contract, you make offers, you finally get something under contract, you go through due diligence, you try to negotiate a little bit and get your best bang for your buck. And then you go through and you have this thing and you're like, what do I do with it? I have to put a human being in here and actually care for them to make sure they have great housing. And then things break all the time. And having a plan in place, we just realized there's a lot more to the game than we actually thought. And so as we're kind of, painting or going through our journey here, right? We start the podcast, we start the social media. We had so many people reaching out to us, and random, for you too, it's just kind of part of our story. We were just riffing back and forth, talking about the Poconos, be like, hey dude, what are you struggling with here? Oh, you're crushing it here. Just checking in with each other. And we started to realize with all these questions, there was something here. And what we were lacking in the beginning, Corey and I, was other people like us going through the journey, and people that are not 5 million steps ahead, because usually those people, when you're in that big of a room, you're talking about thousands of units and just some things that the gap was too wide. We needed to fill that, like the middle of the bucket, if you will. And I think that's what's perfect about our group. It's, you already mentioned, we have people that have 1 to 2 units, we have people that have 60 units, we have people that have 10, 15, and it's all walks of life. And what I like is a lot of times too many people preach hey, in 30 days we'll get you out of your 9-to-5 job. And people that understand, and you start going through the motions, if you have a property, you realize this is a long game. But if you play it the strategic and right way, you can get there and shorten your retirement horizon by 10, 15 years, depending how you do it, right? So right. I bring all this up to say, for us, we were like, Corey and I go, hey, what are we lacking? And what were the gaps that we needed to fill along the journey to get to where we want to go the quickest? And for us, it was just putting the roadmap into place, which about through the inner circle. But half the time, you even can have the roadmap on a piece of paper and you look at it all the time. You're trying to go off the check boxes. But it's like, you really just need an agent. You need a mentor. You need a lender. And you need certain people on your team. And then it's the who, not how again. It's like, hey, Anthony, go talk to this person. You can have your first deal in 45 to 60 days fast, sometimes right. 30. But it's all about who you know. And right, that's the beauty of the inner circle. What I love is the guest speakers, then having you guys come in. Anthony, we already basically had you do one, but you could basically lead a call based on all your experience that you already have. You're an agent. Right. And what I think, last thing I want to say on this whole piece is just, there's a lot of thoughts coming out here, but you came into this game. You're the perfect person to have in our program, because Corey and I see ourselves in you. Like, who do we want to hang out with on a daily basis anyways? Who are we going to look forward to seeing on the calls and riff with and potentially take down deals with? And what I knew right about you right away, and this was kind of even back to the DM days, you always lead with value. And I don't know if it's just like the big heart of yours or the teacher in you, whatever you want to call it, but you're emotionally intelligent enough to know that when you give, the universe gives back tenfold. And those are the people we want to surround ourselves with. We are a big Hermosi guys. Like, hey, give it all away for free. Just teach you how to get there. Go. 99% of people will soak up the information and they won't go do it. They need the training wheels. So long story short for me to say, that's why we put together the inner circle. We're thrilled to have you in there. You've already provided so much value to our crew. And now the best part is anyone that joins in, and if they're local to Philly or South Jersey, we have Anthony to say, hey, he can go show you properties. He's taking down deals. He's an investor-friendly agent. So it just comes full circle where everyone is helping everyone else, and we're bridging the gap that way. And you don't have to feel alone anymore. I think all of us can attest. We've at one point,
that's the biggest part.
You looked left, you looked right. You couldn't relate to the people next to you. They're talking about what they're going to be doing on the weekends. Not that I'm not want to have fun on the weekends, but how am I going to live the big life that I have dreams to go get to? And
Right.
I only had Corey to talk to about that. And so
Right.
now it's just, how many more people can we have in our army that are filling the little gaps of needs, and we all help each other out and grow and potentially partner together? So I think it's a perfect blend of everything. It's just having you on here and chatting about it just reaffirms, man, back to our journey. Like, this is why we did it.
Right. And it's, you know, it's even gotten to the point now where, like, I don't know how many months I've been with you guys with the inner circle, but it's gotten to the point where, like, it's already been like, I have spin-off conversations with other group members, you know, via social media, via email, via this. I've already, you know, we have people in the inner circle that I've already taken out. I've shown houses to. Like, we were 2 seconds away from submitting a deal last week and the deal came off the table. But it's to the point now where I'm like, you finally reach that point where you're like, these are my people. Like, I'm here. They get it. They understand. Because I'll tell you what, when you start getting, like, I come from a very blue collar family, and it was like, and my dad owned his own business, and he was still like a very successful business owner in Philadelphia. And he still was like, go to college, like, be a teacher. It's safe. It's this, it's that. And like, when you get into real estate, it's very lonely, very quick. Nobody knows what you're talking about. Nobody knows, you know, anything about how to run numbers or how to do deals or how to talk about this or no, like, so you become very, very lonely very quick. And when you finally get to the point where you're like, all right, I need other people around me. Like, I need this support. I want, like, it's a no brainer. The biggest regret I have is that, I mean, it couldn't have come at a better time. You guys obviously started it, but I wish I had joined a mastermind or a group like this years ago, because it took me so long to get to a portfolio of 4. And like, it was so not necessary. I could have just joined a group like this and like vastly jumped further ahead. Not that I regret any of it. Like, everybody has their own time in their own way. But it's one of those moments where I feel like anybody who joins this group is going to be like, shit, I should have done this like years ago. So it's just like the benefits of being surrounded by like-minded people. And, you know, you guys have just done phenomenal with how you've set up the program so far.
Thank you,
Brother,
man.
we appreciate that. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
I think, you know, sometimes before you get into mentorship, it's hard to explain that to people. And that's kind of why we want to like highlight your story, because, I think the internet right now and the social media world is full of, not just people that scam. That's not really what I mean, but just like there's a recession on trust. I think I heard somebody say that, like it's a trust recession. And by the way, I think that that's reasonable for people to say that, because there's a lot of things out there that preach something and they don't follow up and do what they say they're going to do. And I think that even just doing that is you're miles ahead. So I appreciate the kind words. I think it means a lot. I want to talk to you about, I know actually I know what your goals are because we talked about it before coming into the community, but I want you to share it with the listeners, because you're talking about owning short-term rentals in multiple markets. And I know that's one of the things that you really want to do. Talk to us about why you have these goals. First of all, what they are, why you have them, and then we'll kind of go back and forth. And I know that we're going to help you get to them, really.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I saw what the power of a small 2-bed, 1.5 bath, you know, Poconos chalet could do. And when I, you know, realized those numbers, and then on top of that, like, here's the thing that I love about short-term rentals. And again, it's not for everybody. They are a lot more work, but it's the only form of real estate that I know where you can use it yourself and have an amazing time. So like, I've had family up to my Pocono house. I've had my wife and I have gone up 1,000,000 times. You know, my friends have been up there with me. Like, I've had amazing times with my investments and with that particular investment. And if I started thinking, and I was like, my wife and I are huge into national parks. We're huge outdoor people. If we're not, you know, kayaking, we're hiking. If we're not hiking, we're skiing. So to me, it was like, all right, how can I take this and maximize the benefits of everything in real estate and add my life to it as well? And it was like, well, shoot, let's just hop up every state along the East Coast and grab a short-term rental in each state. Now, you know, I said that, and like, those are very lofty goals. I still, like, when I tell you I wake up every morning and I write that same goal every morning, I've written that same goal for almost 2 years now, every day for almost 2 years. So that's been the same goal for a while now. And what's really funny is like that now I'm getting to the point where this small little, you know, I've owned this short-term rental just under 4 years, and this thing has well over 6 figures in equity. And now I'm getting to the point where, again, it's who not how, but I'm actually going to be coming to you guys with this pretty shortly, but I've got 6 figures worth of equity, and it's killing me that equity's sitting right there. So I'm like, what's the next move? What do I do? Like, let's start analyzing markets. Let's start. My wife and I just came back from Shenandoah. We were in Shenandoah National Park. Unbelievable. And the real estate there is dirt cheap. We got engaged in Acadia National Park, and I was looking at places around there, and I was like, oh my God, like this is a paradise up here. So it's something where, I want to own a short-term rental in every state along the East Coast. I know it's a lofty goal, but I would eventually love to have, I think I counted when I wanted like 14 up and down the East Coast, and eventually be able to market it in a sense that like I have my own brand with the short-term rentals. And I'm like, hey, if you loved Connecticut, why don't you hop up to Maine next time? Why don't you check out my Poconos short-term rental? Why don't you come down to Shenandoah, which is only 4 hours away, and check it out? And like, I literally have it laid out into a plan where if people could book amounts of nights, like if you book 20 nights with my chalets, you can book any chalet and we'll give you like 10% off. So like, I'm even that far down the mental line of like, how am I going to promote this? How am I going to do this?
Dude, we talk about this all the time we really go into mindset a lot, but it's vision. It's the one thing that I really like talking about is vision casting and putting yourself in the driver's seat of your life in 10 years and telling yourself that's where you're going to be, right? Even if you come slightly short of that, you're going to be light years ahead just because you set it every day and you writing down the goals. For me, we already kind of talked about what mine are too, but to hear and see yours, like I know you're crafting it so well. I actually already have a big, like 2 to 3 pager of my entire story that I'm going to go tell on other people's podcasts as soon as I leave my W-2 job. I like the things I've learned, the exact title that I want on the story to be, and how it's paved my journey. And I like thinking ahead like that because you're marketing yourself too. Like you already have your brand, dude, and you're going to be able to help other people. Can you imagine what you're going to be able to say and pitch and I guess the amount of people you're going to be able to serve and help once you do have all those properties? And I think a lot of people are just going to relate because they'll be able to look back at this episode and listen to it and say, hey, remember when he had 2 or 1 and he got all the way to 14, did what he said he was going to do. You mapped a plan. It's just really cool. You're writing your life's book. And I think what a lot of people forget is, they watch a movie and things like that, but you are the main character of your movie. And you like, this is your life and you only have one crack at it. So do what you want. Like if you have that little voice inside of you saying, hey, this is what I want to do. And that excites you. And you go to all these national parks, dude, like that's what you should be doing. And other people pivot and they're like, they go live someone else's life. And it really resonates with me, dude. And like, it just, once again, we're just reaffirming, I love being in the same room as you. Is like, you get it. And I want to help you get to your journey as fast as possible, not rushing it. But I also then think there's another beautiful side to your story where once you get there, you can also tell so many other people how you got there and show them the way. And that's kind of where what's happening with us. I never knew we'd be, have 80 plus units starting this journey and having a podcast that people actually listen to. And it's the craziest thing, dude. We're just 2 normal dudes and 3 normal dudes, right? That are just, people look at us and they look at you, Anthony, and they're like, dude, how the hell do you manage a teaching gig? How do you manage being a real estate investor? How do you manage being a real estate agent? How do you manage the mastermind of being a husband and a father? It's insane what you're able to do. And, oh, by the way, you get up at 4 a.m. and people think it's rah-rah. I just think people read stories about you in books and they think those people don't exist and they're robots. And so to be able to have an episode like this where we get to talk and unpack it, it's just so impactful for people to hear because you just have to will your way to certain things is my point. You can study all you want, but you have to force it.
Well, and I want to pivot to like, and this is something, I don't think I've ever spoken to you about this, but this is something where like I've talked to you for so long and I've listened to you for so long. Like you have your car moment, right? When you get that expensive car and you've talked about that on so many episodes with us in the inner circle. Like I've listened to you about that. If you're going down this journey, it's hard. It's grueling. Most days suck. And you feel like you don't know what you're doing. You don't know how to do it. You feel like you're behind the 8 ball all the time. You always feel like you could be doing more. So I tell people, and like anybody who's listening, like I encourage you to do this and get into this habit. But like, and for you, right, it's your moment of getting that car, right? That expensive car. And for me, I have a moment that I set at, after I'm done writing in my journal, like 4:15, I set a 3-minute timer on my phone. And I close my eyes and I just picture that moment. And it's a moment of me in my STR somewhere in the woods, lakeside, on an Adirondack chair, holding my wife's hand and looking at her and just smiling and being like, we did this. Like we did everything we wanted to do. And that moment has never come yet, but that moment will come in my life. And I have meditated on that for 3 minutes every day, to the point where I can feel the sunshine on my face. I can hear the water crashing on the banks of my lakefront STR. All of my friends and family are down below on the lakefront of the STR. And I'm looking at my wife, and we just have this intimate moment. Like, find your moment, because real estate's going to get hard. It's going to be grueling. Find your why, find your moment. For some people, it could be the car. For other people, it could be the STR. Find it and just hold on to it and think about it 3 minutes every single day. And I promise you, it will keep you going.
Dude, I mean, I wish you could see this. I don't know if they're standing up here, but I just got chills, dude. I was with you in the third chair, just watching you guys, or maybe behind
you, Anthony, and his wife. Just
dude, I'm just above you, watching you. Yeah, I wasn't holding hands, but I was taking the video, dude. But I vividly picture that. Here's the thing: you're going to do that, dude. That's the thing. By putting this out into the world every single day and into your brain. I don't know the psychology behind it. And there's a book, I think it's called Cyber something genetics, or Cyber-Cynetics. I got to read that book, because I think it kind of goes into all of this. But my point is, there's something subliminally that happens when you just continually stare at something, or you write about it, you talk it into existence, and the universe has funny ways of bringing it towards you, because every day you're thinking about that, you're doing little tiny things to inch closer to that goal, right? And so I know I'm going to get to this point where we'll get to the car, right? For me, I've already done a lot of other things that people would say, hey, that was like my goal. Like, dude, like you already hit my goal, but mine is just a little bit different. And for my pinnacle of success, I've always viewed that as, for whatever reason, it's the tall, big house with the wraparound driveway, and I have the blacked out Lamborghini sitting in the wraparound driveway, right? And just, that's my sports car. My wife's taken care of, my children are taken care of, but that's dad's toy, dude. And like, I just want to be able to have that. That's my moment. And I think a lot of people, I keep saying this out loud, because I know when I get there, it's going to come across as, oh, did you use so-and-so's money? Did you blah, blah, blah? Like, and I don't care about that. It's, I'm talking about it so much over and over and over, so that when I have it, like, dude, you deserve it. You worked your whole life for that thing. And I just want to force myself to actually buy it. Because I think when I get there, I'm going to be like, I could just go buy a property. I could go do something else. Like, dude, just buy it and shut up. Even if you have it for a year, I have to do it, is my point. So, and
here's the thing. It's your moment. So make it whatever you want it to be, and be selfish about it. Like, I tell my wife knows about this moment. Like, she knows, like, when we were actually up at the Poconos one time, like sitting on the deck, and she's like, is this the moment? I was like, not yet. It's not here. So like, I talk about it that much that like my family knows about it. My wife knows about it. Like, put that out there and talk about it. Even if you think it's the most outlandish moment and you're like, oh my God, that's so far away. Do it until you believe it. Do it until you can literally feel the sunshine on your face, the way that I describe mine. And like, just focus on that. And it makes everything feel. And no matter what that is, like, if it's a Lambo, go for it, dude. Like, who cares what everybody else thinks? Like, that's your moment. That's everything you worked for. That's how you kept yourself going. That's how you kept yourself grinding. Like, it just makes all the difference.
100%.
I'll tell you what, man, the life is about having the people in your room and in your corner that you can enjoy it with. So I'm thankful to just be able to have this conversation with you, because I think that people miss out on that. And to be honest, when Ryan and I were in the beginning, it was like me and you against the world, bro. Like, we're lone wolves. Like, we don't need anybody. Like, we can do all this alone. But like, it's way less fun when you're doing it alone, and you go a lot slower. Significantly slower. And I'm just saying that from experience. I'm not necessarily saying it just because we're, like, we have a mastermind. Ryan and I are in several. We're in several that have helped us level up in different aspects of our lives. And we get to enjoy the wins with people. We've been taken under people's wings. Like, if people are listening to this episode and they're like, oh, Ryan and Corey have made it. First of all, we have not made it. At least to our standards. As an entrepreneur, you've never really made it. But then we're in rooms with people that were like, I can't even believe I'm talking to this person. So it's this big game of like, how can I latch myself on to people that genuinely, genuinely care about me, and B, just, want to see me win as bad as they want to see themselves win. And I think that is massive. And by the way, I love the moment. I don't know if I have one. I think I'm learning even from this conversation. I'm not sure if I have a moment. So I'm going to take some time over the next few days and try to figure out what that is, because God knows I need it, or I'm just going to keep pushing myself into oblivion. So, dude, this is awesome, man. I think I want to ask you about maybe someone's on the fence about coming into it. Doesn't have to be our community, right? But joining a mastermind, joining a community, putting yourselves in rooms with people that are a couple steps ahead of you, that have seen what you've seen, that can look over your shoulder. What do you say to those people who are on the fence about, and you can relate it to our community if you like, but just people that are like, I don't know if this is for me. I don't know if I should do that.
Here's where I'm going to give you the actual reasoning and how I went about joining this community and how I justified it for myself, because I can only go off of my own experience, right? I am the most frugal person ever. I am so protective of my money. I'm a public school teacher. I have to scrape together every single dollar that I've ever had to start my real estate journey. It has been nothing but frugalness and paying the closest attention to my finances. So this to me was a huge deal. And it all comes from like me looking backwards and measuring my progress backwards. And I had made a couple of mistakes early on, and I looked at my monthly, like what was I paying out on a monthly thing? And I really looked at my subscription based like monthly payments. So like Netflix, this and that. And I was like, holy shit, like Ryan and Corey's monthly fee for this is less than what I'm paying for freaking Netflix subscriptions. And like combined, total, not just for Netflix, but like the total thing. And I was like, you would be the biggest idiot if you didn't do this. Like you're already spending money on this stuff. I was like, I don't even watch Netflix anymore. If I watch 30 minutes of TV a night, that's like a great night for me. I'm like finally caught up. I can talk to people about what happened on that episode at work. But like that, and when I started looking at it from like, okay, look at your past mistakes and look what you've spent money on before and what's worked and what hasn't. This is a no-brainer. Like you're paying a monthly fee and an upfront fee that like you've done and made nothing and have huge regret. Like this is it. So to me, once I got that perspective and sort of, I had to work backwards from everything and look backwards and think, what have I spent money on in the past? And like, can I justify spending money for this in the future? And it was just something where I sat down, I talked to my wife and I was like, look, we're paying upwards of $300 a month just for subscription based services. Like, I want to join Ryan and Corey's inner circle. Like, what do you think? And she was like, go for it. Like, that's your dream. She's like, if we're spending it, this much money on arbitrary things, like go, she's like fully supportive. I was like, go join it. And Corey, remember, I spoke to you and I was like, hey, I got to talk to my wife about this. I'm pretty sure she'll be on board, but like, I got to clear this with the wife. And she was like, absolutely. It's a no brainer. So if you're like considering, if you're on the fence, and again, you need to think about like, what's your time worth? What is your time worth? And if your time is worth a Netflix subscription, a YouTube TV subscription, and a Hulu subscription, and that's worth it to you, if you want to get into real estate, this is a no-brainer. Because I'm telling you right now, it's cheaper than all three of those combined. And the wealth of knowledge that you're going to get, and not only that, it's the amount of compressed time. You're going to get all of this in such a compressed amount of time that it's going to make, 2014 to now, I'm 11 years into this game with a portfolio of 4. It would almost be laughable if I started in the inner circle 11 years ago. I know I would have way more assets and way more, my life would look a lot different. So it's just like, take it from me when you're looking and budgeting. And I know, trust me, I know if you're out there and you're struggling with like your monthly fees and you're like, do I join this inner circle? Do I, is this going to be worth it? I'm telling you, I have 0 regrets whatsoever.
Dude, thank you so much. I genuinely mean it. And I want to just relate this to Corey and I's journey too. So it doesn't seem like, I don't want people to think this is like a sales pitch, because it's not. I think we want to highlight the importance of getting around the right people and investing in yourself. It's personal development at this point. So Corey and I both had the same exact thought processes when we were like, okay, we're building a business, we're building our real estate portfolio, and we hit a bottleneck. And we're like, dude, we're not going as fast as we were. We continually have to save up for the next property. We're checking in with each other on our finances and riffing back and forth. But at one point we talked to, I think we had a business coach on the podcast, and it was like, how many masterminds are you in? Or like, how many coaches do you have? And we're like, none. And he's like, what are you guys doing? And we're like, what do you mean? He's like, you have a coach for every aspect of your life, all the way up through high school. I know you guys are athletes and you played sports. Now, and you're in the biggest game of your entire life, and you're not going to have a coach or someone to push you for something you want to do. He goes, you want to be a hamster for the rest of your life? And we're like, damn. And so from that moment, Corey and I sat down, like, okay, dude, where are we lacking in? What the first thing was, okay, we have a personal brand. We have a social media, and it's growing, but not drastically. We need to fill that void. Who's amazing at this? Who has a mastermind that we can jump into and be elevated to their level? The next one is, how do we scale our portfolio faster? And we want to get into these new sectors. Let's talk midterm rentals, short-term rentals, whatever it was at the time, right? Laser focused on that. And then the other one is our personal lives. Okay, you can't forget about that on your journey. So there something that encompasses all three of these? And we found one that did, and that was the starting point. We started there. We did it for a year. We're like, okay, we graduated from that one. We put more money into the next one, which was the personal branding. We spent double, but you know what? We got double for it. You pay to play. And so my point here is, and then we joined another one, by the way, and we started a whole new business. Didn't pursue that business. That was $25,000 potentially between the two of us. And like, I don't know if I've even shared that before. So we ate it. We're like, dude, like, okay, it didn't work out. And I want to be candid with that, because we've constructed our inner circle to say, we've learned what works amazing. We've learned what sucks and what we don't want to be part of. And then we've tried to marry it all together and put it into the perfect blend that's going to continue to evolve over time. And when we found, once the system's in place, you just get the right people in the right seats within that circle. You're going to have coaches. You're going to have students that become coaches because they're so passionate about this. You're not hiring some random person that has no interest in real estate, has no interest. So like I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly between all these masterminds. Corey and I have dumped a bunch of money into it. And that's why we're so comfortable talking about it, is because we've paid to play. And I think that's the hardest thing for people when they decide to get into something like this. They're good with spending on Netflix. They're good with spending on going out to eat. They're good with spending on the vacations because they're rewarding themselves, right? But to think that you have to go pay for schooling again, right? It kind of feels like, well, I got to go study up again and like do this thing. Yes, if you want to be like the 1% or doing what people that are not in your 9 to 5 are doing, you have to join that game. And it does take trust. It goes back to us kind of about talking about this. You have to really vet the people that are building these things. And are they actually doing the deals? Are they surrounding themselves with good people? And so our point for doing some of these interviews is not only to showcase your story, Anthony, how far you've come, but also to say like, dude, we're real life people. All of us, we see each other twice a week, so
Right.
I just appreciate you coming on, sharing your story, letting us riff. I think the biggest thing for me is I love these types of conversations because I feel like it's an hour of our time that we don't have to talk the brainwashing 9 to 5 talk every day. And I get, dude, you're a real guy going through the real estate game, just like Corey and I, and here's our struggles. And we just have a therapy session for an hour, and it's awesome. And I feel so much better. I'm going to close the Zoom, right? And I'm just going to have the best rest of the day. I'm all energized. I'm ready to go. I got my fix. So, I just appreciate you sharing, man, and being so candid with everything that we talked about.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, we were talking before we went live, and like you guys, like honestly to the audience, like today's my birthday, and like they were like, well, what are you doing on here? And I was like, no, I want to be here. Like, I'm going to feel so good after I have this conversation. I'm going to feel the connection that I have, the conversation that I have, and the quality of it. And just the fact that like, I'm talking to two guys who like, we share in common with like, the whole mindset thing. Like, Corey, you just left your job, your W-2, and went full-time into that. And I think about you probably twice a day. And I'm like, I'm so happy for him. And like, I cannot wait to be in his situation. Like, for better, for worse, the good, the bad, and the ugly, I know you must have been like shitting yourself that first day that you did not have that W-2 income, or like, that first, 2-week paycheck or however you got paid. But like, that is like my dream. So to be in the same room as somebody who's successfully doing it, and not only that, like two guys who have a vast wealth of knowledge and resources for me has just been, again, like I'm such a cheap person. Like this, and I will tell you right now, like, this is not plugging anything. This is like straight off the cuff. Like, if you want to come to Philly and we'll sit down with coffee and I'll tell you all about my experience again, I'm still going to tell you I don't regret joining this thing, because just the relatability, the comfort, the connections has been worth it, let alone the success and everything that we're going to do together in this inner circle.
Well, brother, I appreciate that more than you know. It's the journey is, like I said, it's better together, and I'm glad that I pop up in your head. I don't know if twice a day is healthy, man, but
not like, yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, I mean, in the entrepreneurial game, you have good days and you have bad days, and it doesn't. The good days don't just continue once you're 6 months into something. You have to. You kind of wake up every day and you're like, all right, like, how can I get 1% better? How can I get 1% better today? And we have amazing months and we have bad months, but when the time is right, I will personally sit down with you and give you every bit of information I have inside my head to help you succeed. And that's why we created this community, really. I mean, like, that's the essence of it. So dude, this has been awesome. I just appreciate how, first of all, you're a great speaker. We can help you start a podcast too if you want to go down that road. But you're a great speaker. If people want to learn more about you, if they want to, maybe they're in the Philadelphia area and they, want to buy a property, they want to buy an investment property. You can help them do that. What's the best way for people to get in touch with you? I know you put out a lot of content on social. Do you want them to go to your Instagram? You tell us.
Yeah, I would say I'm most active on Instagram, so it's at casual_real estate. So look me up at Casual Real Estate. I will respond to you quickly there. I'm super active there. Really, like, just reach out and let's have a conversation. Like, even if you just have questions and you want, like, please, like, I'd love to chat. I live and breathe this stuff. When I'm not doing real estate, I'm doing real estate. So any connections that I can make, any conversations I can have, any way that I can provide value to you, just reach out. Just reach out to say hi. And if you're in the Philadelphia area, in the South Jersey area, you want to grab a cup of coffee, I'm down. Let's do it.
Anthony, you are a gem, my friend. Genuinely appreciate this more than you know. And happy birthday. I really appreciate you being here.
Thanks. Yeah, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate everything you guys have done, even before the Inner Circle, like just the podcast and everything, man. It's been a great relationship from start to present right now. So appreciate you guys so much.
Love it, brother.